Now let's talk about the upper and forearm. I've heard some coaches say not to use the forearm. If you ask me, my position is firm, you absolutely must use your forearm. The question is how much you use it. For example, on this shot, I used no forearm. On this one, I used 50% forearm. And on this one, 70%. Think about it, what sport doesn't use the forearm? Badminton relies heavily on it. You can't generate power just by swinging a stiff rod. I've also learned tennis, it's a full body motion that finishes with a forearm snap. This is true in swimming, golf, every sport coordinates the upper and forearm. The upper and forearm must move separately. How much you use each depends on the incoming ball and the adjustment you need to make. People often take a single clip of a world champion and apply it to amateurs. Amateurs don't have powerful counter-looping rallies. We don't face that level of quality. If we were counter-looping from far back like Quadri Aruna, then yes, we wouldn't use as much forearm. So we have to be realistic. We need to use both. First, you must learn how to use the upper and forearm together, and then learn to adjust how much of each you use based on the shot. This is my philosophy, and I urge you to follow it. Second point, let's talk about the upper arm. For a forehand drive, the sole job of my upper arm is to move forward. That's it. It has no upward instruction. If you lift your upper arm up, where does your forearm go? It becomes impossible to complete your follow-through correctly. For a backspin loop, you can lift it, but that's a different technique. Lifting your upper arm on a close to the table drive will cause you to hit the ball long. And from mid-distance, you'll lose all speed and power. For a backspin loop, the upper arm is essential. But its role is not to lift up. Its role is to drive forward to find the correct contact point and direction of force. Think of it like a relay race. The upper arm is the first runner. Its job is to initiate the backswing and drive forward. The forearm is the second runner, responsible for the final sprint and acceleration. Once the upper arm has done its job, the forearm takes over. With this method for topspin shots, every ball will have speed and explosive power. This is for the forehand drive. You can adapt this for other shots. For a loop, the upper arm might move in a more curved path, followed by forearm acceleration. Against backspin, the initial path might be lower and then higher, with a more pronounced forearm snap. The key is that at the moment of contact, the upper and forearm must have a clear sequence of movement. This applies to a high, spinny loop as well. Watch this backspin loop. If your upper arm doesn't stop and transfer energy, how can your forearm accelerate? It can't. So, for the forehand frame, the upper arm's direction of force is always forward. Then comes the second part, the forearm takes over to complete the acceleration. Okay, here are a few loops focused on spin. Next, I'll show you a few power loops. What is responsible for the acceleration? Look at the second example. The brushing action for spin comes from the forearm. The explosive forward power also comes from the forearm. As a female player, especially for the ladies watching, trying to muscle the ball with a huge swing like male players is often not possible. So, we must learn to use them in sequence, like a relay. first the upper arm, then the forearm. That's for a drive. For backspin, it's first the upper arm, second the fingers and wrist, third the forearm. It looks like a single motion, but each part has its own specific job and method. Why are some players' loops so hard to block, while others use a lot of effort but generate no real power? Because effective players have that final acceleration, that final burst. Right at contact, they have a second gear of acceleration. The initial swing might be at 50% speed, but at contact, it snaps to 80%. That's the explosive acceleration. So the ball really kicks off the table on the second bounce. The opponent sees your relaxed backswing and expects a soft shot. They don't expect the sudden explosion of speed at contact. This puts immense pressure on their block. So think of it as a relay: upper arm drives forward, first runner, forearm snaps, second runner. When you are first learning to build your forehand and backhand frame, you must learn to separate the upper and forearm movements. They have to work together to complete the stroke. Later on, you will adjust based on the incoming ball. If it's fast, use more forearm. If it's slow, use a bigger swing with more upper arm. Next, let's talk about the elbow. You must learn to keep your elbow tip pointing downwards, not backwards. If your elbow points back, you'll often hit the net because you can't grip the ball properly. To compensate, you'll start flipping your wrist to create arc. Let's look at the elbow from the side. During the backswing, the tip of the elbow should point down. As I move forward, the elbow tip still points down as the upper arm drives forward. Then, the elbow acts as a pivot point for the forearm snap. So, keep your elbow tip pointing down on the backswing, let the elbow move forward with the stroke, and then use it as a stable pivot. This will result in a very clean and technically sound motion. For looping, the motion is just bigger. For backspin, it's just lower. The fundamental mechanics don't change much. However, if you've been playing for over a decade, don't change it. Even after 6 or 7 years, you don't have to change if you don't want to. But you need to understand the role of the elbow. Many players' elbows don't move forward with the stroke. Instead, they just flick their forearm and push the elbow forward, with the elbow tip leading the forearm. This is incorrect. Keep the elbow tip pointing down. Don't lift it. Why do so many players look stiff? The moment you lift your elbow, your shoulder tenses up. If your shoulder is stiff when you play, I'll teach you one thing that will fix it immediately. Position your elbow near your hip. When you use your hip as a reference point for your elbow, your arm naturally stays lower. This is an excellent method. When your arm is naturally lower, you will complete your follow-through properly. If your elbow is up by your chest, I can tell you to drop your shoulder, but it will just creep back up because you have no reference point. Use your hip as a guide. For a drive, think elbow to hip. For a loop, your elbow should be even lower than your hip. By giving you a standard reference, you'll know what to do next. Think elbow to hip. Your shoulder will drop. Your hand will be in the right position, and your follow-through will be complete. When looping, keep your elbow below your hip. Let me analyze the reason why people can't make solid contact or brush the ball effectively. First, for drives, your wrist starts doing its own thing. It's unstable. It's not always an obvious flick, but there's a slight wobble, maybe a little bend back or forward. Many people hit the ball with their wrist laid back. The wrist is creating instability. You might not even realize it. Why do you make errors when you try to hit with power? It's often because your racket face is unstable at contact. From backswing to contact, your racket face must remain stable. This is for a drive, but it's also true for a loop. In a loop, there's just a slight brushing motion from the wrist, but the overall racket face must be stable upon contact. Don't let your wrist be too loose. Why does this happen? In my experience, players who flick their wrist usually have a loose grip, especially in the web of the hand. That's one issue. Another is that even if the grip seems okay, there's a gap between their fingers and the paddle handle. They haven't secured the blade. The grip is hollow. When you hit the ball, it wobbles. I'll tell a player to stop the wobble, and they'll say they can't control it. I check their grip, and that's the problem. Don't hold the racket too loosely. Secure it firmly in your grip. The thumb and index finger should pinch the paddle firmly. Lock it in. Your grip should be relaxed in the ready position, but that doesn't mean there should be space between your hand and the racket. You can grip it lightly, but there should be no gaps. At the moment of impact, you must ensure the racket face is stable to make solid contact. Even on a slow ball, you must avoid any wobble. The ball is very light, so when you hit it, don't let the racket face wobble. Why do your shots go out even when your swing is small and your racket angle is closed? Why do you still miss? It's because your racket face is wobbling. It's very obvious. One student didn't believe me until I showed her the slow motion video. There's just a little bit of a wobble. It might be because they are trying too hard to use finger power. You haven't understood the basic principles of the stroke, but you're already trying to feel finger power. If your frame isn't stable, don't focus on finger power. You're learning it too soon. Besides, a basic forehand drive doesn't rely on explosive finger power. I just secure my grip, make solid contact, and complete my follow-through. That's it. No special finger action. Don't overanalyze which finger does what. Just focus on keeping the racket face absolutely stable at impact. Make it solid, don't let it wobble. Then, accelerate through the ball. That's all there is to it. Join our membership to unlock daily exclusive shorts and discover the coach's secret tips and tricks on table tennis technique. You'll also get our weekly on-court coaching series. Silver members get even more and also unlock the exclusive weekly Coach's Corner series. Thank you for supporting the channel's growth.